All right, so we're gonna start off, I'm just gonna go to command. And command did change. So we're not just gonna dive right into the commission tab. So there are a couple other things that have changed. So you guys have gotten paid. Some of you may or may not have gotten paid. But when you go into command now, if you're working with a co-broke, you're working with someone that you're referring out business to, which happens all the time. Once you enter them into the system, you won't have to enter them in twice. So if you're working with John Smith from ABC Realty that's in California and he's sending you business here, in the past, you would have had to enter in John Smith's name every single time. So with all the changes, now you'll be able to manage your outside referral partners as well as your deductions through command, and you only have to enter them in once. All you're going to need for that to happen is their W-9 or their corporation information to kind of enter it in. So I'll show you where we're going to do that first. We'll cover some scenarios. I'm going to literally run us through a commission for a listing, a commission for a buyer, a commission for referral, a commission for a lease, and a tenant. I already have them all created, so it's not going to, we should be able to run through that pretty smoothly. And then on your list here, if you're watching the recording, I'll provide you with the PDF for you to download on your end, but the deduction search. So what I mean with that is once you create your own deductions, and an example of a deduction would be like a transaction coordinator or someone who's doing marketing for you or whatever, someone who gets involved, a coach who's getting paid with you in this transaction, that's a deduction, right? So as you see here on the list, the BOC is the broker only commission. So that's the transaction fee for the 195. If you search BOC, which we'll do in a second, you'll be able to add that to the commission tab. If you happen to miss it, we'll add it for you, no worries. However, you can control your own deductions if you're working with a specific TC, or if you're doing the home warranty, like if you're buying a home warranty for your buyer, right, for their new place, and you're working with, God, First American Home Warranty, right? You can add them in there, and then we'll know how to pay. Because the thing is, though, most of the time what ends up happening is you'll say, yeah, I'm buying my buyer a home warranty, and we have no info. So who we send the check to, right? So that's where you would put them in as a deduction. And then, you'll be able to write that off at the end of the year. If you're in coaching, you'll see your coaches' names here. So Jenny, Lolly, and Bree was on here yesterday when I typed it up, I promise. So I'll have to add her there. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, yes, that's right. No, you're right. And I'll have to make sure that you're in that way in the system. So we'll use that as a test too, to make sure that,
I just want to make sure they don't click the wrong.
correct, the wrong Jenny. Yeah, so Bree is supposed to be on here. So sorry, Bree, if you watch this. And then I'll add the E to your name. And then you'll see there's some transaction coordinators. And then again, if you're working with someone, I'll show you how you manage your specific deductions or something like that. And then the other thing here, if I send you the PDF of this, you'll be able to have a how-to guide on how to manage your deductions under your My Profile, even though I'm going to show you. And then we also are going to cover the 4 fees of commission tabs. So the 4 fees consist of MLS fee. Where does it go? No one ever knows. Then you have your client fee, which is your KW fee that you're charging your client. And then you have your broker fee, which is the fee that KW is charging you, right? The 195. And then you have your coaching fee. Those are the 4 fees that most commission tabs are going to have on them. Okay, so we'll go through those examples and we'll add at least one of each to those examples from the top.
So, let me ask real quick before we go further.
Yep.
So the client fee, the KW fee,
Mhm.
is separate from the broker only of 195.
Correct.
What is covered under client fee?
So client fee would be what most agents like to refer to as their transaction fee. So it's
Okay.
the fee that you're going to charge your client. Typically, most brokerages that I've seen are like $395, whatever you want to
Whatever
choose.
amount above the 195 that's passed through.
Correct.
Okay.
But it would include the 195 as well, because it would, so let's say this is where it gets confusing. If you charge a 195 transaction, client fee, and we charge you a 195 fee, those basically wash each other out, which means you're not making any extra money, but you're not having to pay that fee that we're charging you.
Right, just a wash.
Correct. It's a wash, but it's still 2 separate things.
Okay,
If you do charge more than the 195, which it's up to you, then you would keep the difference. That's why it goes under bonus, right? Because we're not going to take a split out of that fee that you're charging.
okay.
All right.
Thank
So real quick, there is some pictures there just for your visual people like me. That first screenshot there has the breakdown on where the fees go. So once you've done the commission tab, it'll show you like where the MLS fees coming up. You see there at the top? This one. Yep, that one right there, top one. Right before where it says create an expired listing, that fee will show you where the MLS fee is coming out of, where your client fee is, and then where your deduction is. Because it is hard to track it on the commission tab, okay? And then for you folks online, let me just show you what I meant, so that way you're not like, what is he talking about? I'm gonna click share, and I'm gonna share the next screen. And then we'll just dive into the examples. And it's this one, and this one. So for you folks online, this is what I meant with the examples here. So this is what that looks like, right? So I'll just kind of go over it real quick. So I like to identify where the fees are going to be just because it makes it a little bit easier. So the MLS fee, and we're going to do this actually in practice, comes off the top. So you see there where on this property that is 600,000, the MLS says I'm getting paid 3%. However, if I'm the person who's either collecting or paying that MLS fee, it's not going to be an exact 3% at that point, right? So that's why you have to manually adjust the dollar amount to account for the MLS fee. So that comes right off the top. Because if you're paying that fee, we're not gonna make you pay taxes on money you're not getting. But if you're collecting it, then you do have to account for it from that perspective. Then you have your client fee, which goes under bonus. So what, it's 195 for this example, but anything you charge your client that's not commission would go here. And before we get any questions, this may change in July on what we're calling that transaction fee, but we're gonna have to wait till July or whenever we get an update on that with all the commission talks and all that other good stuff. And then last but not least, you have your client fee, your broker fee here, which goes under deductions. So that would be the 195. So in this example here that we have, the fees are washing each other out, which means you're not making any money above the 195, but you're not having to pay the 195 out of your commission. Cool. Any questions? And then the other stuff we're gonna kind of run through in practice. This was just me last night, showing you guys a step-by-step. So this is how we're gonna literally enter in a listing into the system under expired for you to get past the point of it being an off-market deal or a referral that you don't even know where the listing could be in Ohio, for God's sakes, but you still have to get past that point. So that's just a step-by-step guide on what you're gonna see when you're entering in an off-market property. Okay, but we're gonna do it. We don't have to look at the pictures. We're gonna do it live. All right. So now we're gonna stop sharing that and go back to this one here, and we're gonna log into command. And the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna look at our deductions. So again, deductions are like your TC or a nonprofit you're working with, anything like that would be a deduction. So the way that we manage our deductions, we're gonna go to our name at the top right, and we're gonna click on our profile. So we're gonna go down to my profile, and we're gonna go to, on the left-hand side under Tampa Central, you're gonna see where it says deductions. And you're gonna click on deductions. So now you're gonna get the standard deductions, which are, they're gonna be on the commission tab in general. So your standard deductions consist of KW Cares, KW Next Gen, which is basically the teen version of, it's like a Quantum Leap team process where they basically take young kids and get them into bold and kind of change their mindset on how they should approach life at a very young age. Which, think about having the brain you have now when you were 18, you probably would have made different choices. So that's kind of what they focus on in Quantum Leap and Next Gen. And then Bold scholarships are if you are going to be doing anything with Bold, you guys have probably taken Bold before. So that's how, those are your standard deductions, but then you can manage your own deductions by clicking on Manage Deductions. Once you do that, it'll allow you to edit the amount. So if you were going to be donating to KW Cares every closing, the minimum is $5, but you can change that to a percentage if you want. You can do whatever you want out of each closing. So you can go to percentage and say, I want to give 10% of my closings to KW Cares, whatever. You can manage those things. But if you go down to the bottom, it says add reoccurring deduction, which would be like a TC. Like you're going to pay this person 200, 300 bucks out of each file. You can go under add deduction and manage your, add a new request. So you're going to request for your TC at list to close to be added to the list here. And what ends up, it's a request because you're going to request it from me or Marta. We're going to add them to the system. And then once we approve it, you'll be able to use it. But then everyone else who may or may not be working with them will be able to use them as well. Okay. I don't have any deductions in here. Let me see if it'll allow me. Oh, yeah, deduction request. So this is where I would request for deductions to go in here. And then here's what I told you guys before. You're gonna need that W-9 for that individual for you to get their EIN number, to get their business names and enter it all in. Since we're here, and I'll show you this in practice, you see where it says deduction name? That's what you're calling it. That's for you to manage it. But when you're actually searching for the deduction, it's gonna be the deduction description, right? So I'm gonna make sure you're naming it correctly, because then if you don't type in exactly what you named it, it's not gonna pop up. Unless you come back to deductions, it's a different screen, it becomes a pain in the butt. So just make sure you keep track of what you're calling them and categorizing them. And then, of course, at the bottom, you can put a comment here, but again, this is because it's a request for us to approve it. The reason it's a request is because that person may already be in the system under something else, and we'll tell you, hey, so-and-so is under this description, and then we'll go from there. Any questions about deductions? Cool, pretty straightforward. All right, so we're gonna do that. I'm gonna go here. And that's where you manage your deductions, and then we're gonna go back to the home screen of command. And your referral partners work the same way, except you're gonna enter them into the actual commission. You don't manage them the way you would deductions, because you wouldn't have that referral partner necessarily every single transaction. You may have a referral partner that you guys work with every single transaction. However, once you enter them in, we'll approve them on our end, and then you can continue to use them as well. Okay, so I'm gonna go to my database here. And I did the pre-work yesterday just because I've recorded these classes before, and then YouTube has flagged me for being inappropriate on the platform because I can't use real contact info. So let me hurry up and look for my fake one. All right, where are we? I did it on my personal, sorry. Oh, my filters, that's what it is. That's clear filters. So there's Mickey Mouse. But again, if I show any real contact information, they won't let me put it on our YouTube channel just because they say that I'm harassing people. So here's my test contact. And I, for one, am the type of person that likes to come to this section of command to do everything with opportunities, just because I like to look at my visual, like everything in one shot. So I'm under the database for my contact, Mickey Mouse. And in this case, I have a listing form, I have a buyer, I have a referral, I have a landlord, and I have a tenant. You guys know the difference between landlord and tenant? Perfect, right? So landlord means I'm actually putting the house up for lease. So when you go to MLS and you go under rental, and it says that there's a 2-bedroom townhome that's for rent for $2,500, that's landlord. You're working with the landlord to put that place up for lease. A tenant is someone that you've placed in an apartment or you've placed somewhere for rental, and they're just paying you a one-time fee instead of giving you something different. So that's why they're identified differently. And then we'll go through the referral and stuff like that. But you can see someone that you may be working with, you can see all the transactions in one shot versus going to opportunities and going to, it can get a little bit more confusing that way. All right. So the first one we're going to use here is your the listing one. We're going to work our way from top to bottom here. So we're going to open up our listing or our opportunity for the listing. And at this point, guys, we're not going to cover compliance. We're not going to cover any of that, but your opportunity should be under approved status. And what I mean with that is if you go under documents, your file should be completely approved on the left-hand side. If it doesn't say anything or it says open or returned, that means that if it says open, that's bad because we haven't seen it. So hit submit to MC here to send it to us. So that way we can get that part. Because what happens, it's a 2-part process. You want to get your paperwork approved and then your commission approved. Because if not, then you're going to be behind before closing, especially if it's a day before closing. Because then we're scrambling. Okay. So we're going to go under commissions. And before we even get into commissions, you see where it says select a listing at the top left there? If it says that, it's going to want you to have a listing because it's assuming it's a property that's active for MLS. In the past, the change was, you see under details, you could get around it not having to be an active listing by entering in the property address here. And most people would go in here. We're going to just use them, 123 Main Street for our examples today. Most people would go in here and they would enter this in, and you can go to, we're going to say it's a residential, and we're going to say that it's resale, and we're going to save. You see at the top here where it has the address? Once you did this, it would allow you to move forward. Now it does not. It requires you to actually attach a listing to it. So that's been a little bit of a headache, and we're hoping that it goes back to the way it was. But until they do, we're going to have to attach a listing to it.
So when you say attach a listing to, meaning pulling that data out of the MLS.
Mhm.
So what if it's out of an MLS, I think we'll get into that, that we don't have access to? Like
Correct.
the MLS in Jacksonville or Nashville.
Mhm.
Okay,
So we're gonna have to do what we're gonna do next every single time.
okay,
Okay?
sure, okay.
So if, exactly. So we're gonna go here under offers and commissions and we're gonna hit add new offer. This page looks completely different to begin with, right? Because it used to make you enter in a bunch of different tabs and buyer's information and stuff. It still asks you for the buyer information, but it's gonna come to one tab versus three. So you see where it says select from KWLS, Jenny?
Mhm.
That's what it's gonna want you to do if it's not already linked. So in this case, you'll see what's gonna happen. I'm gonna go in here just for time's sake. I'm gonna say 1 unit. My seller's name is my name and my buyer. This is my listing. I'm not representing the buyer. If you're super analytical and you want to fill all this in per the contract, knock yourself out. What I do is just type in buyer. Why? Because I don't care. I just want to move forward, right? But if you want to go in there and you want to enter the information and you have the time, do it. But you don't have to just we're going to plug in. It has my seller's name here, which is Mickey Mouse, and me. I don't care about anybody else, right? Now we're gonna say that the price was 600,000. And we're gonna say that, out of the offer part, we're gonna put 0 for cash. But if you wanna say, hey, my buyer put 20% down and it's this amount of, again, knock yourself out, but you don't have to go to get that specific, okay? And I'm only doing the required fields, so I'm gonna skip these two. And I'm gonna say that my contract date was last month at the beginning of the month, and we're closing this month on the 19th, for example. And you see where it says comments? These comments would go to the office if you're gonna send comments about whatever's happening, okay?
Still to put at Eric, at Barta.
Here you can just put the comments because we'll read them as a whole. It doesn't send them to us directly.
Okay,
But in the under documents, yes, you would do that. If you click create offer, see how it's giving me that error? It's telling me right off the top, KWLS listing must be linked to the offer. And it's telling me that I'm missing requirements here. It needs more information. It has my address there, but it needs me to do more. So in this case, if it's my listing and I know that it's active, I would just click select from KWLS. Right, because then I have an active listing right here. So I can technically just select my listing and move on. We're done. But we're doing this example as if, let's say this was an off market for sale by owner, new construction, yada, yada, yada. You would have to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead here and I'm gonna close this out. And I'm gonna click create new listing. It's gonna take me to KWLS in command. It's gonna show me my listings and or other properties, and then I'm gonna have to click create new listing at the top. Okay, this is the screenshots that I provided for you guys before. So now here, it's a Market Center exclusive, which means it's not something that I'm going to be promoting to the world. And then I'm gonna go to next. Here, I understand and agree the terms and conditions. I shouldn't be doing this, to avoid the MLS or to not, to kind of not let people see the property, all those rules still stand. Or tell my buyer that I can't, my seller that I can't put it in MLS, but I'm gonna put it in our internal system because it's better. That's basically what these rules mean, okay? So we're gonna go to next. And this part's very important when you're doing this step. So this system was originally created, the KWLS was created because Gary Keller asked agents and people, other offices, what happens if the MLS goes away? How do we do business? So this is why we have these options. So we can use this KWLS internally with our own agents here. If you have like what used to be called a pocket listing, I know that phrase is very bad now. However, if you have your seller's permission and you have all the documents signed and all your T's crossed and your I's dotted, you can do internal stuff, right? And all that other good stuff. However, these are the options. So KW agent exclusive means you're going to share it with just our office. And then you have my own MCTT kind of account, and then do not share. For the account, for the purposes of what we're doing today and moving forward to just get paid, we would always select do not share because we don't want to share it with anybody, even if it's just our own agents. It's always do not share. Then we're going to go to the next step. And we're going to go to listing. We're going to say it's a for sale. But if it was a rental, you would put for rent, right? You got a ton of options there. You can even put off market if you wanted to. It doesn't matter. And then this is the part that's the most important step. You're going to do internal expired, which means we're not sending it anywhere. We're not sharing with any other sites. We're doing internal expired, right? Property type is residential. And as you can see here, there's a ton of options, but residential, and then we're only doing the fields that are required, okay? We're not gonna worry about any of the other ones. It's a single family detached. And we're gonna say that the list date is today. Doesn't matter. We're just getting it into the system. And then you see how I'm the listing agent, even though I'm not, right? And then the only other field that's required is Tampa Central. And then we're gonna hit next. Now, the price I had set for this example was 600,000. And I don't have to put the bedrooms, I don't have to put the square footage, none of that, because again, we're just getting past the stuff. I'm gonna plug in my address. And now we're gonna see here that it's pulling it up in Safety Harbor, telling me the schools, and then we're gonna click next. And this is the part where you could attach pictures. If you were gonna share it with the office, you can do all that, because guys, this KWLS kind of skips the MLS, and you would still send it to third-party sites, like all those online sites that, not Zillow, because they became a monster, but all the other third-party sites, it goes, the way that our office does it, our corporation, is MLS, KWLS, and then all those third-party sites that are not listed. You know, when you enter in a listing, it says, it actually calls out Realtor or it calls out Zillow. Before those companies were big like that, it would have to go through this website first. Now those websites have kind of become so big that now they do their own thing.
So, quick question for you, because
Mhm.
it's just come up on a couple, and I have a feeling, well, if a couple, country is always red star.
Mhm.
What do we put it? It has kicked me back, I've typed United States, USA,
In which screen?
I am in the property details, I'm faking address with you.
So let's go, I don't know if I can go back, but let me go next and see if I can go back to edit. I think I can. So property details, edit. So
Scroll down. What do you know, go up on the map, and right there, country on the bottom, yeah,
United States of America.
I've gotten that kickback a few times, so.
Okay. So then we're gonna hit back to preview. And then here's where you're gonna approve it. I'm actually gonna hit approve so you guys can see what it does, because I'm just doing it expired. We're gonna hit create listing. And now I've created my listing, right? It's here, your listing was created successfully. Now technically I can come back to my commission tab and I can click select from KWLS. And now here's my second one. You can see the one that I created before testing this out, but this is the one I'm going to use for our example today. So now I'm selecting my listing and making sure that all my required fields are done. And now I'm going to hit save and accept. And it's been accepted. And there we go. Now we're under the commission tab. And this tab probably looks a little bit familiar if you've been paid before. It's going to be broken apart into 3 sections: general information, commission information, and agent payment. And now we're going to work our way through this and kind of put our coaches in here and do a couple of different scenarios. Okay. So the first section you can edit. But basically all you can edit here is the contract dates, not necessarily the commission amount. So 600,000 is our example. We're getting 1 unit for this. And our contract dates are so good. We say that we went under contract last month and that we're closing on the 19th. So I'm not changing anything there. The next section is your commission information. So this is where we would account for the client fee that we're charging as well as the MLS fee. But let's say that I am sharing this with someone in the office. So I'm working with another agent or I'm on a team, whatever the case is. I'm going to go ahead and click on. Actually, let's keep this one with one person and then the next one I'll put someone on there. Let's keep it simple. So here we're going to click edit listing commission, and my commission is, I'm on the listing side. So what does that mean? I'm the listing agent. So typically the MLS fee is being charged at that point, right? So that means that I'm collecting it. So in this case, I'm going to say that my MLS fee is $350. So my commission, even though I'm getting 3%, I have to account for that $350, right? So I'm going to manually take that off here and put my $350. Now, 2 things are happening here. It's telling me the exact percentage I'm getting. So I'm actually getting 306% of the purchase price. And you see the red, it's telling me, whoa, you're off balance. You have an extra $305 we haven't totally accounted for. Don't freak out. You can still move forward, but this thing is going to tell you when you're not balanced, and it's going to want to walk you through it. So it's okay. Then we charged, how much you guys want to charge for your client fee? The $295. So we're going to hit add bonus, and we're going to say that we charge $295. Perfect. So now it's telling me, hey, 350 above is not balanced and 295 at the bottom is not balanced, which is okay. And then we're not splitting this with the office. I'm getting it myself completely. You can, and some offices may do that. We don't. And then we're going to go down here and we're going to click save. So now we've saved and we're going to go to the third section, which is where we're going to balance those two things that were off balance. So we're going to go to edit. And you see where it's literally telling me, hey, this is off balance and this is off balance. So I'm going to go here, plug in my 295. Now that's 0. And I'm going to go here and add my 350, which is my MLS fee. Now everything's balanced. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and I'm going to click here on add deduction. So looking at my sheet here, remember I told you search BOC. So BOC, and it's my broker only commission, that the fee that they're charging me, and that's the 195. If you don't add the 195, no worries, Marta and I will add it for you. However, if you want to see a more realistic amount of what you're going to get in your breakdown, I encourage you guys to put it in there so that way you're accounting for every bit of the transaction. We do give you a DA that I have it broken down, but it's better to see it in the beginning. So I'm going to click add. So now we've accounted for all 3 fees, the MLS fee, the client fee, which is a bonus, and the 195, which is the broker only commission on our sheet. So I'm going to click save. And now I'm going to do one more thing. So I don't sell like you guys. So I'm going to show you guys what it looks like if you wanted to see, hey, how much do I have left on my cap, or where am I? This is my first deal. If you click on payment and you scroll down, mine are zeros, right? Because I have an active license, but I'm not actively selling. I'm a W2. And I think I said W2 when I said we need a W9 from your vendor partners. Yeah, that's a tax ID. But you see here, if you had any deals in your anniversary year, it goes from when you get hired to when you get hired. So my actual hire date is July. So technically, if I was an active agent, my anniversary date would be July. So every July, this will reset back to 0, but you would see the percentages of what you paid in so far. So when you guys want to know if you've capped, this is how you see. Okay. So that's the first commission tab and how you would get it through with no coaching, just straight through with all the fees. Okay. You have to hit submit to send it to Marta. I'm going to click submit. I'm going to make donations to KW Cares, 10 for each is fine. So now on the right-hand side, I'm going to see my breakdown of what I get after my splits. And then you see my donations and then my fees and everything else, right? However, let's say, oh, I forgot to add my TC. I have to add my TC on here. So if you go down here, one cool thing that they did is you can say update. You can type in any message in the box and click save. 2 things. It's an active chat now, which means you can chat with us back and forth on one specific commission tab, but it reset my submit. Now I can go back and edit.
That's right, we did that the other day.
So to me, that's a really cool feature, because if you're doing this at like 7 p.m., 8 p.m. at night or whatever it is, and you like, crap, I now have to send an email and wait for them to see it. So it kind of puts a little bit more power in your hands. So you can, any message you send, don't forget, you're going to have to resubmit. Okay, so let's go ahead and add the TC here. So we're going to go under agent payment and we're going to go down and we're going to hit add another deduction. And we're just going to type in transaction. It should pop up. So here are 3 transaction companies that we have worked with so far. If you're going to work with another transaction company, you would need their W9 and you would have to go under the My Profile and add deduction and on that section to add the person here. Okay, so I'm going to say that I'm working with your transaction manager. I'm going to say that their fee's 300, not 300,000. And I'm going to say add deduction. So now I'm going to go to the bottom here. I can see my 2 deductions and I'm going to hit save. And then I would technically come back to submit. And that's the first scenario where we've attached the listing. So for sake of time, I'm not going to go through the buyer one, but you would do the exact same thing, except I'll show you one little thing. You see how there's no attach or select a listing here? That means you don't have to go to KWLS. You don't have to do any of that expired listing thing that we did to do a buyer's one, because it's assuming you have nothing to do with the listing. Okay, but all the other steps would be the same that we did. Now we're going to do a referral. So you referred business and now we have a check. and we want to get paid. With referrals, guys, the reason we make you do a commission tab is because we'll get a check with no information and we don't know who it's from, who it's for, the amounts. If you come to me and you say, hey, that's my referral check, or you hand me the referral check, I'll do it for you really as quick as I can. If Marta's available, we'll process it. It's no big deal. But the reason we make you come in here, do an opportunity, even if there's no paperwork in there, is to put it on our radar. Because we're gonna get a check. You know, the people that send it are not gonna tell us who it's for. You have to call them 20 times to send it to begin with. So it just puts it in the queue and we're ready for when the check comes to us. So again, we don't require any paperwork, but you see where it says select the listing? The reason it does that is because this is a listing opportunity and we're doing the referral checklist. But if you were to do a buyer side and you do the thing, you don't have to do anything like that. I'll have to get with Marta on maybe using the buyer opportunity for all referrals. And then it'll knock out having to attach a listing to it, because again, the listing part of it has nothing to do with it. So more to come on that. However, we still need you to do a commission tab for us to have it on our radar and for us to all be on the same page. But if you hand me the commission check and I know it's yours, then we'll just pay you and get it over with. But any questions on what I just talked about, the referral checklist and the opportunity? All right, so this one here, we're gonna go to offers. And again, we would go through the same steps, add commission, add the listing, expired, and all the screenshots would match. I'm not gonna bore you guys with doing the same exact thing, okay? Cool. So now we're gonna go and we're gonna say that we're gonna do our, let's see here. Let's do the buyer one and let's add the coach to it. So we're gonna go to the buyer side, offers and commissions. Again, my paperwork is all approved. So I've put in here, Mickey says, approved, you're getting paid. And now we're gonna go to offers and commissions, right? So now we're gonna go to add new offer. And we're gonna say initial offer. You can rename this, the client name or whatever. You're the only one that's gonna see it, okay? We're gonna go here and we're gonna type in 123 Main Street. But there's one step that I wanted to call out here. So I'm saying Main Street. You see where it says enter manually? If it's new construction or does not, Google can't find it, you need to do enter manually. Because then it'll just keep looping on you. It'll say, we can't find it, we can't find it. So if it's something that's not for one reason or another available on Google Maps, then just go down to the bottom, enter manually. Mostly for new construction, right? So we're gonna select the Safety Harbor again. We're gonna say that this is a residential. We're gonna say that it's a resale. And we're gonna say that it's 1 unit. Every transaction has 2 units, the list side and the buy side. So that's why we always put 1, because unless you're working with both sides or both parties, you typically get 1. Okay, so we're gonna go down here. You see where my buyer is there. I'm the agent. I'm just gonna type in seller. And then here, I would typically just type in listing agent. Because again, we're not going back to look at this, so we don't really care. But if you have the time or you want to fill it out, by all means. Okay. Now the price, we're gonna keep that 600,000 going. I feel like 600 is a new 300, if that makes sense. So 600,000, we're gonna say 0 for the cash price. But again, if you wanted to go to the details of your contract, you could. I'm gonna skip the earnest and the amount, and I'm gonna say we went under contract last month. And the closing date is, again, the 22nd. And then we're gonna create and accept offer. I didn't have to attach anything. I'm here now. All right. So we're gonna say that we are paying the MLS fee. So in this case, if we're paying it, we have to subtract the money from here. So that would be what, $750 if it's $350, right? Yeah. So actually, no, $650, you're right. There we go. Perfect. Is that right? To get it back to where it was? 17,650. Thank you. Math is hard. All right, so now I have to account for the fee that I'm paying, but I'm taking it off the top because I'm gonna pay a referral on this to my coach, right? I'm paying my coach out and I'm paying a referral in this example. I don't want to pay a referral on the amount that I'm not getting. So that's why we would do it off the top. Then I did charge my client the fee. I'm going to say I charged them the $195. So it's just a wash, right? But the system's still telling me, hey, make sure you account for this everywhere you need to account for it. I'm gonna click save. And then I'm gonna go to the bottom here and I'm gonna account for those two differences. I'm gonna account for coaching and I'm also going to account for the broker fee. We're still gonna add our outside referral too. So I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna type in my 195. And then I'm gonna go here and make it the 17,650. So if my coach gets 10% of that 17,650, I'm gonna do the math real quick because I don't want to embarrass myself in front of you guys. Times 10%, my coach gets 1765 that I need to put on the sheet, and then I also have to put the 195. So let's go to deductions. I'm gonna hit deductions here. BOC 195. Add, and then I'm gonna go to deductions, add my coach. And I'll add Jenny just because I could have swore you had the extra E when we see you do. I think this is when I was editing things. I got rid of Bree and your extra E. So here is Jenny, and then we're saying she gets the 1765. And then you hit add deductions. And now we've accounted for our transaction fee and our coach, right? So we're gonna do that, and then we have one more thing, which is our outside referral. So our total commission was 17,650. Technically, if I had an outside referral, I've not seen this scenario happen, to be honest. However, I should have done my outside referral and then paid my coach because again, I'm not getting that money, right? So I can go back and fix it just to show you what I mean. But if I'm sending out, let's say I'm paying 15% of this, so 17,650 times 15%, that's 2647, right? So I would go in here and put an outside referral in for that amount. I can even do the percentage. The cool thing is if I've already accounted for my MLS fee, which we did, I can just type in 15% here and it'll do it for me, right? Here is where you would enter in your partner, your person you're working with, if it's someone you've not worked with before or you know the office has it. I went in here yesterday and plugged myself in. So hopefully I'll pop up. You see where it says Eric, KW Realty Tampa Central. I still have trouble because I want to search for Keller Williams Tampa Central here and not the individual you're paying. When you fill this form out, it's gonna search by the person you put under, right here, under representative. So I am an agent at Keller Williams Tampa Central. So when you search, that's who you're searching for, is your person you're directly working with, not the company that. So if I go in here and I type in Eric, that's why I'm popping up. But if I type in Tampa Central, nothing pops up. So that part's important to remember too, because it'll get frustrating when you're trying to just move forward. So I'm not gonna go through the trouble of filling all this out. However, you see where it says add new agent, you would click this and then it'll let you type in. And then under company, you would add new agent and same thing. You have to click the add new agent part. If not, it won't let you move forward. Okay.
So for instance, because I've got a couple that have switched over to our referral, to Smart Referral.
Yep, perfect.
And so, that's already structured. So the numbers are there. So, I would add them as a new agent and it would be Mike Pope dash Smart Referral.
Yep, so I'm gonna search for someone who's in Smart Referral that I just happen to know. So Marcy was an agent here. You see how it says Marcy Herman and then it says Smart Referral? So if you select her, then it fills it in. So that's how you would fill them in. It would be the individual who's going to referral, your agent that you worked with,
Okay.
and then this is where you would put the referral information and then the EIN number.
Okay,
But then in the future, after this transaction, if you're doing another one with them, you search for their name.
and then it'll pop in the drop down.
Mhm.
Okay,
Good example. So we'll leave Marcy in there just for this example because she's here and we're gonna hit add outside referral. She's getting 15% of that, but now I have to go fix my coach. I love my coach, but they're gonna get 10% of what I'm getting, not 10% of what the total was. Make sense? So I'm gonna hit add outside referral. Add outside referral. Let's see here. Make this screen smaller.
I tried seafood chowder at lunch, so I always get phlegmy after.
No worries. So here is my difference here. So now I have myself under buyer commission. You can see what the total is there. And then my outside referrals right under it tells me where it's going and then the person's information.
Mhm.
This is good though, because what we want to happen is when we send the referral to Smart, we want to identify who it's going to there. That's why it does it that way. Okay, so now we just need to edit our coach. So our coach. So now we're gonna do a little bit of manual math. I know this is hard. So 17,650 minus our referral amount, right? Gives me, oh, I added it. Minus 2,647.50 is $15,002.50. So that's what my coach would get 10% of. So I'm gonna multiply that by 10%. And that gives me 15,025 cents or 1,525 cents. So I'm gonna go down to my section over here. I'm gonna hit edit. And then I'm gonna go here and hit the little pencil for Jenny. And then Jenny's gonna get adjusted to the 1,500.25 because that's what I got. And we're gonna hit save. And now everybody is getting what they're supposed to be getting. And I can verify that on this side. So we have, just to recap, we have our total commission, our bonus that we charge our client, the KW fee. We have an outside referral that we're paying to Smart referrals. And then we have our coach, which we listed under deductions down here. If you wanted to see the breakdown of the actual coach or where the because deduction is going to add the 195 and the coach together. That's just the total deductions. If you again go to the bottom and hit payment breakdown, it'll give you a breakdown of who's getting what. So here's Jenny's 1,500, and then here's the BOC, the broker only commission of 195. Okay. So that's that breakdown. Then again, you would submit, and then we'd create a DA, and then everyone would get paid. All right. So in the last 8 minutes we have here, I do want to go through the tenant one just because I feel like that's the one we don't go through enough, is the tenant one. So let's make sure that everything is kosher with it and that it's working the way that it should. But again, landlord would work exactly like listing would work. You would go through the expired thing if it's not an actual like lease property. So we're going to go to landlord or tenant here. With tenants, guys, same thing. We don't require paperwork because most of the time they won't give you guys the leases because it's not your lease. They only give it to the person that it's for. So as long as you have an invoice or something, you can put it in here if you have it. If not, we just need you to do the commission tab to, again, put it on our radar. And so we don't forget about it. Okay. So we're going to go under commissions.
Also calculates their company dollar and the royalty.
Yes, correct.
But everything's.
Yep, so then when you're looking at your breakdown, it also, because when we process it, it'll eventually make its way there, but then you can also see what's happening.
Especially now that everything
Correct, good point. All right, so we're gonna go here. It says select listing, but I don't think we have to because again, I don't see it up here where it says select. So we're gonna go in here and we're just gonna plug in our main street to popular street today. We're gonna say Safety Harbor. We're gonna say that this is residential, but we're gonna say that this is it's not for sale, so we're gonna have to say for sale just because I don't see rental there. And then we're gonna say you don't get a unit on leases or landlord or like any kind of leases or tenants, but you still have to fill in the blank. So just put a 1. Yep. And then this lease price, let's just put the 2,500. And we're gonna say that the commission, we can still leave the percentage there, but typically, like I said, on this part here, on a tenant, typically it's $50. Sometimes I've seen some that go up to maybe 250, but that's on a good day. But again, it's a flat fee of some sort. Everything again is negotiable, so to each their own. And then of course here I just put landlord, right? But you can put whomever, the name there. If you have it, fill it in. This deal isn't required. We're gonna say that they filled their lease last month and they moved in at the beginning of this month. It doesn't really matter. And then we're gonna hit create commission. No need to attach anything. We're just gonna have to fill it out. Leases again are straightforward. So we have the amount of the lease, and then we're gonna go in here and say, I'm not getting $3. I'm getting, let's say $2.50, just to keep it positive. But again, typically it's a flat fee. And then I'm gonna show you something without having to go to the next section. You can click update here and it'll take you to the next section, like the bottom section. However, it's just however you want to handle it. So we're gonna say it's 250. But now we're let's see here. That's gross. I want the total here. Concession bonus, no. 250. It's gonna say I'm over, but it's because I haven't saved the previous screen. Usually on these, there's no fee of 195. There's usually no splits. With coaching, you can split this with your coach, but typically this isn't something that goes through coaching because it's a tenant. However, it can.
It's $250.
Correct. Yeah. So we're gonna click save and save. And now if I go back here, it should be balanced. Yeah, it's balanced. It was just because I was within a screen. So then you would just click submit. But then you can see your breakdown here, like Marta was saying, of what's going. And then again, you can see your total paid and all that good stuff down here.
Now, on a lease, this is not really my area, but. But out of that $250, it still upholds to the same split percentage of the office for company dollars and still applies to the 6% royalty.
Correct.
Okay,
The only thing different on a tenant is we don't charge you the 195.
Okay.
And the 195 at our office isn't charged on any property below 100,000. So you can still charge your client the KW fee, but we're not going to charge you the 195.
okay.
Cool. Any questions? I know I kind of sped through that at the end, but pretty straightforward. The biggest change, guys, with the commission tab is just attaching the listing to it. Because again, before you were able to go under details, as long as you had a address under properties, it would just let you pass forward. Now it's making you attach it. I think with all the changes of the MLS and the commissions and things like that, I think that's why that's where their mindset is. But again, I'm hoping that it would just allow us to kind of move past that, especially for the off-market stuff. And from a reporting perspective, we probably should be tracking more of the off-market deals too, to be honest, not just MLS. So I think there's a little bit of everything going on there, but that's pretty much the gist of new commissions. And then if things change again, then I'll do more classes and videos and stuff like that, but that's it in a nutshell. Cool.
And again, new construction, we would simply go through as if it was an off-market, same exact process.
Correct, except you're gonna enter, when you go to new construction, you're still gonna enter it in as an expired
Mhm.
and then go through all the details. But if it's on the buying side, which most of the time it will be, you're gonna go to the bottom and hit enter manually. So
Okay.
that way, because it's not gonna find it on Google yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the only difference there. All right, that's commissions. All right, guys, thanks for coming to class.